Most human beings walk through life as though their choices are deliberate, their actions the result of logic, their path directed by free will. Yet beneath this fragile illusion runs an ocean, vast and uncharted, the unconscious. It is not silence. It is a symphony playing beneath awareness, guiding your steps even as you insist you are leading the way. Jung saw this ocean not as chaos, but as the very architecture of fate. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Pause for a moment and feel the truth of that statement. Think of the recurring struggles you face. Perhaps you find yourself falling in love with the same kind of partner, only to be hurt in familiar ways. Perhaps you attempt to change careers, only to sabotage yourself at the same stage again and again. Perhaps anger rises in you before you understand why, like a storm erupting from nowhere. These are not accidents. They are not mere coincidences. They are the fingerprints of the unconscious on the fabric of your life. Freud believed that the unconscious was a vault of repression. Desires too shameful, wounds too painful, impulses too dangerous to face directly. He called it a dark cellar of the psyche, but Jung looked deeper. To him, the unconscious was not only personal, but collective. Within each of us lives a tapestry of archetypes: the mother, the hero, the shadow, the trickster, the sage. These figures are not metaphors alone. They are living patterns of the human spirit, shaping how we love, how we fear, how we dream. You may think you are choosing freely, but often it is an archetype that chooses for you. Consider the experience of attraction. A man meets a woman and feels instantly that she is destiny. He says it is love at first sight, but Jung would ask, which archetype is she carrying for you? Perhaps she reflects the anima, the inner feminine within his psyche. Perhaps she mirrors his unresolved longing for his mother. He believes he has found the one, but in truth, he has stumbled into his own unconscious projected outward. If he remains blind to this, the relationship will become a battlefield of shadow and unmet need. The unconscious does not simply influence who we love. It dictates our fears, our ambitions, our failures, even the illnesses of our body. Neuroscience now confirms what Jung intuited. Stress, trauma, and repressed emotion can manifest physically, shaping our health as much as any external factor. A child who learns that love must be earned may grow into an adult with constant anxiety, the body echoing the unconscious conviction, "I am not enough." A person who buries grief may later find their body weighed down by inexplicable fatigue, as though the soul itself is exhausted from carrying a secret. But the unconscious is not only wound, it is also wisdom. Jung spoke of the self, a deeper center beyond the ego, a wholeness that whispers through dreams and symbols. The self seeks integration, and so the unconscious sends us messages, sometimes gentle, sometimes brutal, guiding us toward what we must face. Ignore these messages, and they return louder. A small conflict becomes a crisis. A quiet anxiety becomes depression. A subtle discontent becomes an existential void. The unconscious will have its voice. Dreams are its most intimate language. Every night, as the ego rests, the unconscious paints on the canvas of the mind. A dream of drowning may reveal you are overwhelmed. A dream of a stranger may symbolize an unlived part of yourself. A dream of flight may carry the possibility of freedom. Yet most dismiss their dreams as random. They wake and scroll through their phones, silencing the wisdom that could change their lives. Jung called dreams small hidden doors in the deepest and most intimate sanctum of the soul. To ignore them is to ignore your destiny. But it is not only in dreams that the unconscious speaks, it speaks in patterns of repetition. You may notice you attract the same kind of boss, harsh and controlling. Or you may realize that every time success approaches, you find a way to ruin it. This is the unconscious replaying old scripts, urging you to confront what has remained unresolved. Until you see the script, you will perform it forever, calling it fate. Nietzsche warned us, he who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. The shadow, Jung's great contribution, is precisely this: the part of ourselves we deny, repress, or condemn. The anger we judge in others, the greed we despise, the weakness we mock, all live within us as shadow. The more we deny the shadow, the more it controls us from the dark. We project it onto others, condemning in them what we refuse to acknowledge in ourselves. A man who cannot admit his own vulnerability may ridicule others as weak. A woman who hides her ambition may resent successful peers. Projection is the unconscious deciding your destiny while you insist you are innocent. And yet, Jung did not counsel despair. The shadow, he said, is not evil. It is raw energy. To integrate the shadow is to reclaim your wholeness. The anger you repress may become your courage. The desire you deny may become your passion. The weakness you fear may become your compassion. The unconscious decides your destiny until you embrace it. When you do, destiny becomes freedom. Imagine the archetype of the hero. In every myth, the hero is called out of the ordinary world, faces trials, confronts the shadow, and returns transformed. This is not just a story. It is the blueprint of your life. Each time you confront your unconscious patterns, you are enacting the hero's journey. Each time you step into the unknown of your own psyche, you slay dragons within. Each time you return with awareness, you offer light not only to yourself, but to others. Rilke once wrote, "Perhaps everything terrible is in its deepest being something helpless that wants help from us. Your nightmares, your failures, your repetitive wounds, they are not punishments, they are helpless parts of you begging for integration. The unconscious sends them because it longs for wholeness. It longs for you to awaken." Think of the phenomenon Jung called synchronicity, meaningful coincidence. Have you ever thought of someone only for them to call you? Have you ever encountered the same symbol repeatedly until it demanded your attention? These are not accidents. They are the unconscious moving through the external world, reminding you that psyche and matter are woven from the same fabric. The line between inner and outer is thinner than you imagine. Destiny is not imposed from without. It arises from within, mirrored by the world. Now let us speak of freedom. Many people resist Jung's vision because it seems to reduce us to puppets of hidden forces, but this is a misunderstanding. To become conscious of the unconscious is to gain freedom for the first time. Before, you were driven by patterns you could not see. Now, you can choose. Jung compared it to holding a candle in a dark cave. The shadows are still there, but now you can see their outlines. You are no longer at their mercy. Real life offers countless examples. A man who always fails in business realizes through therapy that he carries an unconscious belief instilled by his father. You are destined to fail. Once seen, the belief begins to dissolve. He dares again, this time with new awareness, and success follows. A woman who always chooses abusive partners discovers that her unconscious equates love with pain, a lesson learned in childhood. By making it conscious, she redefines love, and for the first time she chooses someone kind. Their destinies were not written in stone, they were written in the unconscious. By bringing them to light, they rewrote their story. Freud insisted that repression is the cornerstone of civilization, that we must bury impulses to live together. Jung countered that repression alone breeds neurosis. Wholeness comes not from denial, but from integration. To live a destiny decided only by repression is to live half dead. To live by integration is to live fully alive. Pause again and consider, what destiny is your unconscious writing for you at this very moment? What patterns are replaying? What symbols are whispering? What dreams are you ignoring? Every moment you remain blind, the unconscious writes your fate. Every moment you turn to face it, you reclaim the pen. And perhaps, as Nietzsche proclaimed, you may even embrace amor fati, love of fate. Not fate as blind repetition, but fate as the conscious embrace of the life you are shaping. To love fate is not to surrender to unconscious patterns, but to integrate them so deeply that life itself becomes a willing dance. Your unconscious is not your enemy. It is your hidden twin, your forgotten ally, your secret author. To know it is to know yourself. To deny it is to live a stranger's life. Jung's challenge remains: dare to descend into your own depths, dare to face your shadow, dare to listen to your dreams, dare to honor synchronicities, for only then will destiny cease to be a prison and become instead a path toward wholeness. The unconscious is never silent. Even when you ignore it, it finds ways to speak through the body, through your relationships, through your failures, through the images that haunt your sleep. It is always whispering, see me, face me, integrate me. To live as though you are separate from it is to live only half a life. To awaken to it is to step into the wholeness that is your birthright. Jung described individuation as the process of becoming who you truly are, not the mask you wear for the world, not the ego that clings to control, but the deeper self that unites conscious and unconscious, light and shadow. Most people resist individuation because it demands sacrifice. It demands you surrender the illusion that you are already whole, that you already know yourself. It demands you confront the parts of you would rather exile. Your envy, your rage, your fragility, your fear. Yet only in this confrontation is freedom found. Think of the myths of descent. Inanna descending to the underworld, Orpheus descending to rescue Eurydice, Christ descending into hell. These myths live because they are not mere stories. They are blueprints of the psyche. To individuate, you too must descend. You must enter the underworld of your unconscious, stripped of pretense, stripped of defense, and face what lies beneath. This is not punishment. It is initiation. Nietzsche declared, one must have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star. The unconscious is that chaos. Within it lies not only darkness, but the seed of light. To deny it is to deny your star. To embrace it is to ignite creation itself. History shows us countless lives shaped by unconscious destiny. Think of artists tormented by inner demons, their work at once a cry for help and a revelation of archetypes. Vincent van Gogh painted the swirling sky of his psyche, unable to escape his unconscious storms. Yet in surrendering to them, he gave the world visions of eternity. Sylvia Plath wrote her confessions in burning verse, her shadow speaking through her pen with such force that it shook generations. Their art was not chosen in freedom, it was fate carved by the unconscious. And yet, through their suffering, they unveiled truths we all carry. But you do not have to be destroyed by your unconscious. You can learn to walk with it as guide, not tyrant. The key is awareness. Jungian analysis, dream work, active imagination, these are tools to make the unconscious conscious. When you dialogue with a dream figure, when you paint the image that haunts you, when you write the words your shadow whispers, you are no longer its prisoner. You are its collaborator. Freud once wrote that the goal of psychoanalysis was to turn neurotic misery into ordinary unhappiness. But Jung's vision soared higher. His goal was not mere relief, but transformation. He envisioned the human being as capable of wholeness, of living in harmony with both conscious intention and unconscious depth. He believed that in each of us lives not only a wound, but a healer. Not only a shadow, but a light. Not only an ego, but a self that seeks realization. Perhaps you wonder, how do I begin? Begin by noticing repetition. Begin by observing your projections. Who triggers you the most? Who do you despise or idolize? They are mirrors of your own unconscious content. Begin by attending to dreams. Write them down, no matter how trivial. Symbols will emerge, archetypes will reveal themselves. Begin by embracing silence. In silence, the unconscious rises. In stillness, it surfaces. And when fear arises, remember, the unconscious is not here to destroy you. It is here to complete you. As Rilke counseled, do not be frightened, dear friend, by your sadness, for there the future lies, the future that is new, and in order for something to be born, everything must change. Your sadness, your fear, your shadow, they are not curses, they are midwives of transformation. Now imagine your life 10 years from now. If you ignore your unconscious, the same patterns will repeat, perhaps in new disguises, but essentially unchanged. The same arguments, the same failures, the same despair. You will call it bad luck or cruel fate. But if you choose to turn toward your unconscious, the story changes. You begin to see your patterns not as prisons, but as doorways. You begin to meet your shadow not as enemy, but as teacher. You begin to listen to your dreams not as noise, but as prophecy. And destiny itself transforms. Nietzsche's eternal recurrence returns here as challenge. If you had to live this life again and again, eternally, would you bless it or curse it? The answer depends on your relationship to the unconscious. If you remain blind, the cycle is torment. If you awaken, the cycle is creation. You may even come to love your fate, not as a burden, but as a masterpiece you are sculpting with awareness. So I ask you now, what will you choose? To drift, ruled by unconscious forces, forever calling them fate? Or to awaken, to face the depths, to integrate the shadow, to embrace the self? The path is not easy, but it is the only path that leads to true freedom. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, whisper to yourself, I am ready to see what I have not seen. I am ready to meet what I have denied. I am ready to walk with my unconscious as ally, not tyrant. Feel the weight of that intention. Feel how even one thought shifts the energy of your destiny. The unconscious decides your destiny until you decide to know it. And once you know it, destiny becomes choice. Fate becomes freedom. Shadow becomes strength. And life itself becomes not a repetition of blindness, but a dance of wholeness. So if this message has stirred something within you, if you feel the resonance of Jung's timeless warning, then let this be your step toward awareness. Do not run from the unconscious. Invite it, listen, integrate, and you will find that what once ruled you in darkness will guide you in light. And if this message resonated with you, write in the comments, I choose my peace.